Hello, everyone. And welcome to Start on Campus, our Skills to Thrive session. My name is Jenny Danes, and I use she and her pronouns, and I'm a member of the START team who are helping you prepare the summer for starting in the fall. If you have any questions this summer or you don't know who to ask, you can feel free to email us, the START team, at start@uofg.ca, and we'll post that email in the chat. We answer a variety of different questions and are here to support you. Before we begin our session today, I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. So the University of Guelph resides on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. It is recognized that the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples have long-standing and ongoing relationships with this land. This is a gathering place where we work and learn, and is home to many past, present, and future First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. It is important to recognize the lands of Indigenous peoples locally, across Turtle Island, and around the world. We acknowledge the land because we have a collective responsibility to this place and its peoples, histories, rights, and presence. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Charlotte and Rebecca from the Wellness Education and Promotion Center to teach us all about some very important skills that you folks can use to thrive during your time at UofG and beyond. During the presentation, there's a question box for you to ask anything you may be wondering about in regards to the presentation. And there will also be time for you to ask questions at the end of the session. The session will also be recorded and posted on Start Online within 48 hours of the session ending. So now let's get started with our session, and I'll pass it over to Charlotte.
All right. Hi, folks. So as Jenny said, my name is Charlotte, and I work in the Wellness Education and Promotion Center here at the University of Guelph. I will be entering my 4th year of undergrad this year, which allows me to provide some student perspective on what I'm talking about today. All right, so we are going to start with a quick activity before we get into anything here. So I want you all to think of some expectations or assumptions that you have about coming to university. For example, the assumption that you might gain weight, also known as the freshman 15. Some other examples could be expecting your grades to drop significantly or that your mental health will worsen. So it's totally normal to have these worries when you're transitioning to university because this is a really big step that you're choosing to make. But let's really think about these assumptions. The fact is, everyone is going to have a unique experience. You may or may not experience each and every one of these challenges. The good news is that if you do experience challenges, you are certainly not alone, and you are able to get past them. Having a growth mindset can be a helpful tool to prepare you for these challenges that may arise. A growth mindset allows you to learn from your experiences and grow rather than dwell and feel stuck. It's important to acknowledge that setbacks and even failures are completely normal parts of life. They're not a reflection of your character or who you are. Coming to university, you may face more setbacks than you expected. I certainly had a lot of challenges that I didn't anticipate, and so having a way to bounce back was really helpful. So we're now going to discuss some of these ways to bounce back after setbacks and help you move forward. Our first concept here is self-compassion. So as hard as it sounds, cutting yourself some slack when you make a mistake is a really important step in moving past it. We need to treat ourselves with kindness and remind ourselves that mistakes are just a natural part of being human. We're often harder on ourselves than we would be on other people, so try to think critically about how you're reacting to the situation. The next concept is grit. Grit is the ability to persevere and work for the things that we want. We've all come to university to reach certain goals. Maybe there's a job that you really want, maybe there's a class you wanted to take, maybe getting your degree is really important to you. Just by showing up today, you've proven that you want to succeed. You all have grit already. When you face a setback, remind yourself of that big picture. Failing an assignment or even a whole class isn't going to derail all of your goals. As long as you choose to move forward, you will succeed. Choosing to fight can be the hardest part, but it's also the most rewarding. Try to remind yourself of why you're here and what you're working for when you do face these challenges. It can be helpful to write this down somewhere that you'll see it frequently as a reminder. I myself like to write down why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I have it pasted on my wall so that every morning when I wake up, I see my goals and I remind myself why I'm doing this, so that even when it feels hard, I remember that this is something I really want. The last concept I'll talk about here is gratitude. Gratitude is about focusing on the positive things in our lives and seeing the good around us. It's really easy to get bogged down and preoccupied with our problems, and then we forget the good stuff. Practicing gratitude helps us recenter and realize that our lives are so much bigger and richer than just the problems we face. We are now going to do a quick gratitude practice, which you can repeat whenever you need to recenter. So find a scrap of paper, open a note on your phone, whichever works best, and think of one thing that you are grateful for and write it down. Just one. Now, really think about whatever it is you've chosen. Why did you choose this thing? How does it affect your life? And how would your life be different without it? Really think about these questions and write down the answers as well as what you're grateful for. Gratitude isn't necessarily about counting all the good things in your life, like some sort of cosmic balance sheet. It's really about noticing and appreciating what you have, whether it's just one small thing that helps you get up in the morning or a lot of good stuff that happens throughout the day. After contemplating the one thing you've written down, try to think of a few more. No set number, just a few more things you're grateful for, and how they make your life a little brighter. Keep this note handy and use it as a reminder, like the grit goals that I mentioned from before. These can be really helpful in keeping you centered and not getting so frustrated by the problems you're facing. The last topic that I will touch on here is ensuring that you have balance in your life. Like with gratitude, we need to find a balance between noticing the problems we face as well as the successes we've made. Balance also needs to exist on a more obvious level, like how you plan your days. Academics are important, and so are jobs and volunteering, but finding time to eat, sleep, and relax is also essential. When you start university, you're more than likely going to have a calendar where you put in all of the things that you're going to do, like your classes and your homework. Try to also put down things that you want to do for fun or things that are relaxing, as this will help you maintain balance. We need to take care of ourselves, especially during such a big transition period, because it's really easy to forget about all the essentials that make you feel good when you're focusing on just what needs to get done. Take some time to consider how you will achieve balance and the things that you want to include on your schedule that will be fun and enriching rather than just the stuff you have to do. So I will now pass it over to my colleague Rebecca, and she will share how to get started on the right foot.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Charlotte. So as Charlotte said, I am Rebecca. I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of the wellness educators in the Wellness Education and Promotion Center. And so now that we're all in the headspace of thinking about what your transition to university might be like, you might have already started thinking, as Charlotte was talking, about some of the ways that you want to set yourself up for success. Many students think of success as achieving everything or getting everything right the very first time that they try something. But really what we see is that students who are proactive with their goals, with responding to challenges, without seeking resources and supports, those are the students that are actually going to come out strong in university. So we are going to start by talking about your goals and visualizing the things that you want to achieve. When I mention achievements and successes in university, I bet that one of your first thoughts is probably around grades. That's what most students think about, but grades are not the only measure of success. Let's think about the bigger picture. Going to university is a huge endeavor that you are undertaking. Academics are important. That's kind of why we're there, right? To get a degree. But there are so many other things that you get out of being at university. So what is it that you actually want to accomplish during your time at UofG? Is there a volunteer opportunity that you want to do? Is there a job that you really think would be fun? Is there a club that you want to join? Do you want to be a peer helper, which is an awesome program, and those are the folks that are on the screen. They're peer helpers from the past. Do you want to learn a new skill? What are the things? Let's take a moment to consider what it is that you want to do and accomplish while you're at the University of Guelph. So I invite you right now, as you're listening, to close or lower your eyes. Take a deep breath in, ground yourself a little bit, and visualize your life at the University of Guelph. Even if you've never set foot on campus, think about what do you want it to feel like when you're here? What experiences are you hoping to have? What are the things that you want to accomplish while you're on this campus for 1 year, for 4 years, for 5 years, 6 years, however long you're around? Just take a moment, think about what that feels like, what that looks like. When you're ready, you can open your eyes back up and think about those thoughts, those feelings, those accomplishments, and write down somewhere on that scrap of piece of paper, on your phone, open up a Word document, whatever, write down 2 to 3 goals that you have for your first semester at Guelph based on those thoughts and feelings that you considered. We're going to come back to your goals in a minute, but as you're writing them down, feel free to share them in the Q&A. I'll take a look at them and I can, hype you up. So feel free to share them if you'd like to, if that's like an easy place for you to keep track of this and you can write it down somewhere else later. So now we're going to talk about strengths and building those habits so that you can accomplish some of these goals. Earlier on, Charlotte talked about the importance of finding balance during your transition to university. Balance looks different for everybody. It can change from semester to semester, week to week, even day to day. We can support our search for balance by building or sticking with healthy habits. Building a balanced routine that includes healthy habits leads to healthy relationships, feeling more confident socially, having higher self-esteem, and overall feeling better and having better well-being. Establishing healthy habits early on can help you to avoid slipping into some maybe more unsustainable patterns, like staying at the library until it closes, which is at like 2 a.m. on campus, pulling all-nighters to study, eating chicken fingers every single day. That's what I did in first year, and it was not good for me. Missing meals completely because you're studying so hard, etc. So some of these healthy habits that you could think about including in your day-to-day life could be organizing your to-do list and creating a schedule for yourself for the next day before you go to bed every night. Picking food options that make you feel good. You can have chicken fingers every other day, maybe, but also some vegetables, probably. Incorporate physical activity in whatever way fits your life best, like walking to campus, joining the athletic center, going with us and our peer helpers on a Mood Roots walk through the Arboretum, which is like the big forest green space on campus. You could schedule with your roommates or regular calls to your family back home. Or you could plan what time you're going to go to bed every night and put away all your electronics and your Netflix and everything else an hour or half an hour before you go to bed. So those are just a few examples to help get you thinking about what your habits are. So let's look back at our goals that we set. And for each of them, think about what is one habit that could help you to achieve that goal. Is it something that you already regularly do? Or is it something that you would like to start? Or maybe that you want to work on stopping so that it can not get in the way of you accomplishing your goals. If you did write down your goals earlier, jot this down right next to your goal, what your healthy. For example, if your goal is to make a new friend in the first month of school, your habit could be to set aside time each week that you're going to commit to spending with friends, or maybe setting aside time each evening to catch up on those text messages and Snapchats and whatever it is, DMs that you've been putting off all day while you were studying so that you can spend intentional time building those relationships. So right beside each of your goals, a healthy habit that could help you to accomplish that goal, or a habit that you want to try to stop or flip to something healthier so that it won't get in your way. When we are starting these habits, it can be tough, right? There are things that you can do, though, that can help to start new habits and make them stick a little bit easier. So willpower on its own is something that we often rely upon, but it is not the thing that is actually going to help us to accomplish our goals. Think about coming home at the end of a really long day and not having the energy to cook a healthy meal. All you want to do is grab takeout on the way. For sure, we cannot rely on our willpower alone, but that is okay. We can take small steps to remove barriers to sticking with our habits to make them easier to accomplish. And we can also put small barriers in the way of habits that we're hoping to kick. So what does that look like? Ideally, these barriers will either remove a 20-second obstacle from you starting the habit that you want to work on, or will add a 20-second obstacle to the habit that you're looking to stop. So for example, if I wanted to go for a walk every morning, what I could do is lay out my clothes and my walking shoes beside my bed the night before, so that in the morning, I don't have to spend that 20 seconds walking around trying to find it, trying to decide what to wear, convincing myself that that's the right move. I'm going to get out of bed, see my shoes, be like, great, I'm going for a walk. If I wanted to cut down on my coffee intake, for example, what I could do is creating a 20-second obstacle between me and that coffee. So taking my caffeinated coffee and sticking it at the back of my cupboard and putting my decaf coffee or my other beverage alternative in the front of my cupboard, because it will be a lot easier to just reach for that decaf option than to spend an extra 20 seconds reaching for the regular. So you can do that in kind of any habit. There's always ways to make things easier to start or harder to start in the first place. Something else that can help you when you're working towards forming healthy habits and reaching your goals is discovering and applying your strengths. Everybody has unique character strengths, which are positive personality traits that impact how you think, feel, and behave. By drawing on your strengths and focusing on those things that you're already really good at, it can help to boost your overall well-being. So I want you to, once again, take a moment to close or lower your eyes. You can take a deep breath if you like, if you want to get into the moment. And I want you to, this time, think about a time when you were doing something that you knew that you were good at. Maybe it was something creative or a skill that you've been developing for some time. Maybe it was playing a video game. It can be literally anything, something that you knew you were rocking it, you were killing it, you were doing amazing at it. Now think about how good it felt that you were strong at that activity, that you knew that you would succeed, the pride that you felt when you accomplished it. That is the way I know I would love to feel about trying something brand new, working towards a goal, or establishing a new habit. So imagine what it would be like if you could apply that feeling to every new thing that you try. Feel free to open your eyes if you had them closed. So we want to try to capture that feeling and all the things that we do and all of the goals that we're working towards and all the healthy habits that we're setting. And so knowing our strengths and what they are can help you more consciously apply them to your life. You can also draw on those characteristics to help you respond to challenges, like Charlotte was talking about, more adaptively rather than just completely avoiding them. So in the Wellness Education and Promotion Center, we like to try to figure out our strengths by using something called the VIA Character Strengths Personality Assessment. So one of the team is going to post the link into the chat for you so that you have access to it. I would encourage you to open up that link or copy it and put it somewhere else so that you have it for later. You're not going to forget it once this closes. And feel free to take 10 to 15 minutes after this session to complete it. And it's going to give you a breakdown of your top strengths. And so those things that are really good at. I do like to always preface that the things are not weaknesses. They're just not where you prioritize your strengths, and that's okay. And these strengths can change. You know, every time you do the test, it might be slightly different, though I find that's like fairly consistent with your top 5 to 10. So definitely give that a try later on today. But all that being said, you can probably identify some of your strengths without needing a quiz to tell you what they are. Maybe you're really good at communicating your ideas, or you love to be creative. Maybe you are super honest and fair. Maybe you're a great team player. When you're thinking about these goals, these habits that we've been talking about, try framing them in a way that matches what you are already good at. So maybe you're super organized, so you can use that as part of your goal to go for a walk in the morning by planning out what your route is going to be each day. Or maybe you're creative, and so you write a song that you set as your phone alarm that's going to remind you to floss your teeth at a certain time each day. If you're really great at connecting with your friends, maybe you ask one of them to keep you accountable, and then you check in with them regularly throughout the week, and then they can ask you if you've accomplished your goals or worked on your habits. By starting from a place of strength and addressing what you're not good at, it can help you feel more positive about your goals, more accomplished, and more motivated to complete them. So we're going to go back to our goals that we had set before. I want you to take a look at them again and think about a strength that you already know that you have that can help you to reach that goal or to work on that habit that's going to support that goal. If you can think of something, write that down. If you're having a hard time thinking of something right now, that's okay. Try the strengths, the VIA strengths test that we put the link for, and come back to this later and add in how you can relate it. Finally, I want to ask you to ask yourself what else you might need in order to accomplish this goal. Is the answer something that you feel capable and ready to do on your own? You're like, yep, I have everything I need. I can just like go and start this habit and accomplish this goal once I'm here on campus in the fall. Or do you need some help figuring out how you're actually going to make it happen? In a second, we're going to talk about some resources on campus. So think about what those needs might be. And if you hear something that you think can support your goal, make sure to write it down so you can refer back to it later. So, resources. As Charlotte shared earlier with us, challenges will happen. It's normal and it's expected. Some challenges and setbacks you can predict based on knowing yourself. Maybe you know that you didn't study enough for a test, and so you know you're not going to get a good mark back. Sure, we can plan ahead for that. Others might be a complete surprise that you weren't expecting. That is totally okay. It's not about what setbacks and challenges that you experience. It's about how you respond to them. So one other thing to consider about responding to them is knowing who your supports are. What I mean by that is when something goes sideways during university for you, who is it that you're going to call on for support? Whether it's somebody to talk to, someone to get advice from, someone to help you figure out the next steps. So is there somebody in your personal life that you can count on for support? Maybe it is a parent, a guardian, another supporter in your life, a best friend, a partner. Who is that person for you? For me, it is my partner. I know that I can always talk things through with him and get support if I'm having a hard time figuring it out for myself. And outside of those folks on campus, there are supports at UofG that can support you. So if you are away from home on campus for the first time, running solo, you have those folks, on your phone that you can contact, but you also want to know that there's folks on campus for you, and there are lots of them. There are folks whose roles exist just for the sole purpose of helping you succeed. That is important for you to remember. We exist to help you. Students are why we have universities. So is folks like our program counselors, our learning and writing services in the library, folks in student experience like Jenny who did our intro, and of course student wellness services. There are folks across campus that exist to help you succeed in whatever way it is that you are looking for support. So because I am here on behalf of Student Wellness Services, I of course want to share with you a quick overview of what we offer and what we can do for you. If you'd like to know anything else, have any questions about the things that we share, you can find more info on our website, which is going to be shared in the chat, but you can also through the Q&A post any questions that you have, and I can either answer them or at the end in our little Q&A moment when we have some time. So ask any questions, ask them. So we are made up of all of the various units that come together to take care of your well-being, both physically and mentally. So our first area is health services. So this is essentially our clinic on campus. They are your family doctor away from home. They provide health and medical services for University of Guelph students, including treatments for illness or injury, reproductive health like STI testing, birth control, etc., mental health support through our psychiatric team, dietitian services, immunizations, which includes COVID boosters, and more. And it's important to note that they are available for international students as well as domestic students. You will either have your OHIP card or your UHIP card, and you will bring those and you will see a doctor. And that's just the way it is. They can provide any other services that your family doctor would do for you. We also have our health and performance center. And so they cover the other pieces of your physical health. So like chiropractic, physiotherapy, massage therapy, etc. These are for, any aches and pains and bruises. Their services are pay per use, but majority of their services are covered or mostly covered by your student benefits. Again, whether you are domestic or international, you are covered. You have health insurance through the university as a student. And so if you want to get a massage once a month, do it. I highly recommend that. Our next unit is our sexual and gender-based violence office. And so this is the place to go to determine any options or get help, seek support, etc., around anything related to sexual violence or gender-based violence. It doesn't have to be about something related to campus. It doesn't even have to be something that's recent. And it also doesn't require reporting. So just because you're accessing their services doesn't mean you need to file a police report or do anything like that. You're just there to get help or get answers. So we have two amazing folks who work there. One of them is Melissa, who is our sexual and gender-based violence support coordinator, and she helps support folks through accommodations, creating safety plans, reporting if that's what you desire, attending court dates, etc. And then we also have our brand new sexual and gender-based violence educator named Jensen, and she provides training and education around these topics to the rest of the UG community. So they're a really great spot to get support. Next up is our student accessibility services. They provide support to students with a wide range of disabilities that are either temporary or permanent. And that can include acquired brain injuries, concussions, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, hearing and vision challenges, learning disabilities, health and medical diagnoses, mobility needs, dexterity and sensory issues, mental health concerns, and probably a million other things under the sun. So if you had an IEP in high school, which I believe is mostly an Ontario term, but if you had any sort of accommodations in high school, you can connect with a student accessibility advisor to find out about any accommodations that might be available to you. They will probably be different than what you had in high school because university is a whole different environment, but they will help get you set up for success. Next up is counseling services, and counseling, they offer a ton of different options to support students going through personal challenges, whatever it might be that you need. And so that includes individual counseling appointments, same-day drop-in appointments if you don't have time to wait for an appointment, urgent and crisis support, and we also offer therapy groups that are based on a number of different topics. So if you are brand new to our campus and counseling services, at Guelph, the first stop will be to meet with a student wellness navigator. So we have 3 of those folks now, and they will meet with you for a 30-minute appointment and just chat about what it is that you need and what you're looking for. And they'll help you to navigate, it's in their title, all the services that are on campus so that you can figure out what's going to be the best fit for you, which it might be one-to-one counseling with one of our folks on campus, but it might be something that's available off campus, or maybe it's one of our peer-to-peer supports, or maybe it's a resource that's actually in the library or in student experience and not something that we offer in our unit. They will help you figure all that out and figure out what it is that you need. So that's a really great resource for you. And finally is the Wellness Education and Promotion Center, where Charlotte and I work. And so we offer health and well-being programming, resources, and student peer-to-peer support for students. Topics include mental health, substance use, nutrition, physical activity, and sexual health. So we run a number of peer-to-peer programs. So that means that it is run by other students. Typically, they are upper years, and they run these programs to help support you folks. So one of those programs that aligns really well with everything we've talked about today is our UShine program. So this is a peer mentorship program that helps students to develop lifelong successful habits to boost their well-being. So you would meet one-to-one with one of our upper year peer mentors, and they would chat with you about your well-being goals. Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to use less substances? Do you want to eat healthier? Do you want to work out more? Whatever your goals might be, or a combination of goals, you can meet with them and they'll help be your accountability buddy. They will provide you with resources and help point you in the right direction. So that's a really great program to get connected with on campus. If you are like, everything we've talked about today seems really scary and intimidating and I don't know how to start, UShine, check us out. We also offer a kind of similar but different program called Thriving in Action. And so this is a workshop series that's led by staff from both wellness and the library that helps you to blend well-being with learning skills. So if you want to learn more about how to have balance in your life, because Charlotte was talking about it, and you're like, yes, I need that, but you also want to figure out how to have balance in your academics and like scheduling and making to-do lists and time management, you can come to Thriving in Action and we'll talk about both at the exact same time. We offer those workshops throughout the semester, and so you can find those through Griff Life, which is our kind of events and clubs website if you're not familiar. And another resource that I want to talk about is called the Student Support Network, or SSN. So they are a program that runs on campus doing peer drop-in support. So again, it is run by other upper year students who know what it's like to be on campus and be a student. So they are super highly trained to provide confidential and non-judgmental listening and support. They can also provide referrals or information about resources on campus. And it's just an opportunity to chat with folks who care. So if you're having a really bad day and the person, your support person that you would normally call back home isn't available, you can drop on into our space and chat with one of them. And they're really nice and lovely people. And we also run a weekly time slot that is just for students who identify as Black and or racialized. And so you can come and chat with other folks who have similar identities so that you can get some support in that way too. On top of all those things I just mentioned, we also run a number of workshops, events, and resource sessions. So you can find out more about us once you're on campus through Griff Life. You can also follow us on social media. Our Instagram is at wellness_UofG. And we post lots of resources. We post about our events, all of our opportunities to get involved with us on there. So you can check out what is coming up and stay in the loop. So if any of these services seem like they can help you reach your goals, please make note of that alongside your goals so that you can refer back to that when you need during the semester. I forgot to mention that all of these services are housed in the exact same building, which is on the slide there, the JT Powell building. We're located right beside the gym, so that when you're on campus and you see these big shiny windows, you'd be like, great, that's where I'm going to go for all of my health and well-being needs. So thanks so much, folks, for listening. I'm going to pass it back to Jenny to wrap us up. Jenny, you're still muted.
It would not be a virtual event without someone forgetting to hit unmute. So thank you so much to Rebecca and Charlotte for a wonderful session. We are going to open it up to questions. So if you folks have any questions about kind of wellness on campus, any of the wonderful programs or supports that Becca talked about, or maybe any of the habit building information that Charlotte gave us, please put it in the chat and we will answer that for you. We actually have a few questions already coming in. So maybe Becca, I can ask you some of these questions. You can just unmute and answer them. But our first question is, are there counselors that identify as Black, Indigenous, person of color, or in the LGBTQ2A+ community?
Yeah, totally. So I mentioned that we have the Student Support Network that is specific for Black and racialized folks, but then within counseling services itself, we do have a number of folks that exist specifically to help and support those different demographics, those communities. So we have folks who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color who reserve time slots specifically for folks who might be looking for that identity. And then same thing for the LGBTQ+ folks. We have folks who are like our point people for that area. And again, if that's something you're looking for, you can request that when you're booking an appointment with counseling services or when you're meeting with the Student Wellness Navigator. You can let them know that that is something that's important to you, and they will make sure to connect you with the correct person.
We have another question. So maybe Becca, I'll bring you back up on the screen, but do you have to pay for the wellness services?
Yeah, thank you. So I'd say, as I was going through, I mentioned a couple of things. The only thing that is not already included as part of your either tuition and student fees or covered by health insurance that you'll have is the Health and Performance Center. So those massages, chiropractic, things like that. Some of that is covered. Some of it may not be. There's usually like a cap of you have a certain number of sessions or a certain dollar amount that you can use. And then anything above that, you would pay for out of pocket, but we can help you figure out what those amounts are, or there's information online. And then the only other piece that you would need to pay for potentially is through health services. If you are paying for like prescriptions and things like that, that's like the standard, like, you know, Ontario health insurance piece, you might have to pay $10 or whatever it is, depending on the actual prescription you're receiving, but everything else is free. So counseling services is included for you. We have some additional counseling supports like Keep Me Safe, which is a counseling tool for international students where you can access counselors who speak your own language and are available 24 hours a day, and other supports like that. It's all free. So come to our stuff. You might even win things.
Ooh, winning things,
Ooh.
very exciting.
Yeah.
We have a few more questions, which is wonderful. And reminder to keep posting your questions if you have them. No question is a stupid question. If you have that question, chances are someone else probably has that question too. If a student was to set an appointment with a wellness navigator, what would that look like? I know you talked about it a little bit already.
Yeah, totally. So because all of our stuff is all in the same building, we have one front desk who organizes everything. So if you go on the Student Wellness website, which we have linked in the chat, you can find the information of who to call to make an appointment. So I'll have the extension listed there. So give us a call. Let us know that it's your first time accessing counseling services and you'd like to make an appointment with a wellness navigator. And then they will check their availability, and they usually have some free time either the same day or the next day, potentially the day after, depending on your availability as well. But you could get to see them pretty quickly. From there, they'll give you the option of probably virtual or in person, because we are trying to accommodate both ways of seeing folks. And you'll sit down with them for 30 minutes and they'll say, tell me what you need. You'll chat with them about whatever your needs are. It's up to you how much you want to share about your own story and what your needs and desires are, what you maybe has gone on in the past for you, etc. But they will then, from there, create a little plan with you that they'll provide to you. We're going to book these appointments. They can book some of those appointments like with counselors for you, or they can refer you to other folks on campus or in the community. So it's really fairly casual. Trained folks, so they can provide a little bit of counseling in the moment as well. But their primary goal is to get you connected with supports. So that's kind of what it looks like.
Amazing. We have a few more questions in the chat. One from the chat is, should I reach out to student wellness services before getting onto campus? So before they start in September.
Totally an option. I mean, September is right around the corner. So depending on what you're looking for, it can be a good idea. So if you're looking to get connected with student accessibility services, I definitely recommend reaching out before you get to campus, because a week is a real whirlwind and then you're into classes. So we want to make sure that you are set up with the accommodations that you need before the first day if possible, so that you can really hit the ground running with that. For anything else, you are welcome to connect with us and we can let you know what's the best way of going about things. Some of our counseling and stuff can be available for folks, but they'll let you know kind of where we're at with scheduling and things like that. So yes, definitely don't hesitate to reach out before getting on campus. It's not a requirement. You can just hit us up when you're here as well. Definitely you have options there, and you can also give us a call if you just have questions, or you can send us an email at wellness@uofguelph.ca. I'll post that in the chat. That goes to my department. So that actually, I'm going to ask somebody in the behind the scenes to do it, because that's why you're here. wellness@uofguelph.ca. You can email us.
Wonderful. Another person is asking, is there a therapist or person on campus that students can talk to regularly, so reoccurring?
Yeah. So that's what our one-to-one counseling appointments are. So the way that we do counseling at the University of Guelph is we try to do it based on what the needs are currently. So if you do require to meet with somebody regularly throughout the semester, we can accommodate that. But if you're like, I'm dealing with this situation right now, I want to meet with you until it's resolved, that's also an option. And as I mentioned, our navigators will help you to figure out what it might be that you need. So it can be that one-to-one support, and it could be on campus or off campus, but we have an anxiety group where you could be with other students who are experiencing similar things if you would find that that's helpful. But there's lots of different options for you.
And then do you know, Rebecca, if there's a specific website that they can find information about how much money they have left for their insurance, like an insurance website that says what resources there are and where to find them.
Yeah, so all of our health insurance through the university is coordinated by our Central Student Association. So that's our student union on campus for undergrad students. And so they hold all of that information. So if you go onto their website, which is, somebody's going to find it and they're going to post it in the chat, csaonline.ca is the main website. And then there'll be a link to the My Student Plan website. So that will show you how to submit claims, what amounts you have as available as a student, and it should include somewhere for you to check like what your personal allocations are if you've already claimed a few things. So all of it will be available through that.
Amazing. And someone's asking, is it possible to access the course literature for now? How? If you're referring to this exact session, about the kind of what we chatted about during this session is recorded and posted on startonline.ca/events, and it'll be available 48 hours after the recording, if not sooner. So you can check that out. If you're referring to your actual academic courses for September, that actually gets posted later on towards the end of August, if not within the first week of September. It really is up to your professor on when they release that information, but it is available on CourseLink. We're actually having a virtual session next week about how to use CourseLink. So you can check that out to learn more about that. But thank you everyone for tuning in today and learning about some amazing wellness resources and some great habit forming tips and tricks. And thank you so much to Rebecca, Charlotte, and the rest of the START team for supporting our session this afternoon. And we look forward to chatting with you all next week when we talk about the final checklist in the university classroom and prepping for classes in September. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.